We had to clear 300 students and 50 adult leaders out of the building.
Wow.
Wait for the fire department to come clear the building. Wait for the church facilities manager to have a very not so fun conversation with me. Oh, how the glories of youth ministry were upon me at that moment. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Youth Group Chronicles. Joining me here on the show again, Pastor Timmy Stearns.
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
What's going on?
Welcome back, man. Good to have you here.
Great to be here.
To kick us off here, this is a story from Brian. He said,
what's up?
My biggest youth ministry failure was setting $500 worth of Costco pizzas ablaze during a youth lock-in.
What?
He said, we share a campus with a Christian school and they have a great cafe with professional food service equipment.
Okay.
This includes a warming oven that we use for food that gets ordered over the years. So they've been using it for a while.
Okay.
We ordered our Costco pizzas early in the evening and keep them in the oven until we eat them at midnight with the kids. Only problem that over the years, our event grew and we kept putting more and more pizzas into the oven. This last year, we put too many and they touched the heating element in the top of the oven and it caught on fire and began to fill the building with smoke.
Oh my gosh.
This could have happened hours before the event or even during in the middle of the event. But alas, it happened during check-in while the parents were dropping off the kids to the event. We had to clear 300 students and 50 adult leaders out of the building.
Wow.
Wait for the fire department to come clear the building. Wait for the church facilities manager to have a very not so fun conversation with me. Oh, how the glories of youth ministry were upon me at that moment. She said, and the worst part, financially that is, was that we still needed food for the night.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. So Domino's Pizza got a panic call from us.
Come on,
and within
Domino's.
2 hours, they delivered $700 worth of pizza to our event.
Give it up for Domino's.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good right now.
Powerful.
She said, so here's to the night that we spent $1,200 on pizza, nearly burned down the building,
Holy cow.
and began receiving grief that I am quite certain nobody will ever allow me to forget so long as I live.
$1,200 worth of pizza. That's
Yeah.
That's a fail.
The worst part is $500 worth of it is
this is gone.
crispy.
Yeah, literally, it's just done. Who is that? Brian? Brian, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
You need someone over the food, Brian.
Brian, there we go.
Come on, man. Just let me help you out.
Steven said, I am in a very small Mayberry-like town, and the parsonage I live in is right across the street from the high school. It was graduation night, and my wife and I were waiting on the ceremony to end so we could go to all the graduation parties. It's totally common for church people to park in our yard for school events, and there are multiple cars in our yard that night.
Right.
So I decided it'd be fun to hide in the back of the Whitleys, I guess that's someone that goes to his church, expedition, and scare them to death.
No, this is not good. Not a good
So
idea.
the plan is set. I check the door and it's unlocked. I climb in, guessing from the time that the graduation should be ending soon.
Yep.
I'm hunched down, waiting to pounce when I see the keys in the ignition, or in the console. He's like, So I turn the key on. I turn the radio to full blast, turn the heat on. He's like, it's May in Florida, so like the heat wouldn't be on.
Okay.
He turns on the wipers, the full works.
Yep.
Then he turns the key back off. So I get in the back, and in no time, I see people leaving the football field where the graduation was. I see people crossing the streets toward the SUV. Note, the family that I'm about to scare is, they're in their mid to late 40s.
Okay.
I'm literally crouched behind the back seat when I peek up and see two very elderly ladies and an old man, none of which I've seen before.
It was so good before that moment.
Getting in the SUV. I watch in horror as the old man takes the keys, cranks the car, and I watch and listen to the panic as he tries to turn off all the stuff that I had rigged. Then two elderly ladies get in the back seat directly in front of me. I think to myself, I am literally going to kill them when they find that I'm in here. I'm like a murderer at this point because I'm going to give them a heart attack.
Murderer?
Yeah.
Oh no.
He's like, so I very slowly lifted up my head, popping up between their shoulders. My head appears, and with the most soothing voice I can muster, he said, hello there. No. I'm Pastor Steven.
Leave the pastor out of it, Steven. Oh,
he said,
no.
I live in this house.
No, you don't, Steven.
He said they were so surprised. No kidding, man. Turns out it was the grandparents and the great aunt of the family that I thought it was.
Oh, my
They had
gosh.
flown in from Texas for the graduation. By the way, there was no latch on the inside of the back hatch of the
course.
expedition. So at this point, I'm stuck. And I text my wife, who's inside the home, and she had to come out and let me out of their car.
That is perfect.
That's a legendary
I love
story.
that. Hello, ladies.
In the most soothing voice. Like, you're in the backseat of a car. Can you imagine a man's face just right between you and your friend or sister or whatever? Oh, my goodness.
Such as
I would have jumped out of my skin.
Golly.
Matthew said, one of my biggest failures came this past year when I took a large group of students to Passion in Atlanta. We had a long but great few days, and I was going to fill up the 15-passenger van for the 5-hour trek back home. Mm-hmm. I grabbed a coffee and went to fill the van, but noticed the nozzle didn't fit in the gas tank.
What?
Big mistake. Not thinking much of it, I made it work. The van was now full, and we were ready to go. Drove about half a mile back to the arena to get the students. And when we loaded the van, once the event was over, as one of my college students was driving, he tried to start the van and noticed smoke coming out the exhaust.
What?
And thought the engine was acting funny. So we turned it off. I thought to myself, surely I didn't put diesel gas in this van, because it definitely takes unleaded. Quick check on the receipt, and that's exactly what I did.
Oh, no.
It also happens to be the day that AAA's computer system was down all across the nation. So after a lot of stress, I was able to get the students home a different way. We got a rental van in the area to drive back home. We get going down the road, and one of my students opens the glove compartment to find a handgun in the rental van. We have to then return the gun to the rental location.
Oh my goodness.
And after multiple trips to and from Atlanta over a few days and about $800 later, everything was worked out.
Wow.
Lesson learned, if it don't fit, don't pump it.
Oh my goodness.
Between my wife and I and some students, I have now adopted the nickname Van Diesel.
Van Diesel. That's a great youth group name.
Tracy said, my biggest youth ministry failure happened during an all-nighter. We had gone after hours to a bowling alley, bowled for a couple hours, got back to the church. I was on stage announcing the bowling winners and giving away prizes. At this point, it was about 2:30 a.m. Mm-hmm. While on stage, my phone rings, and trying to be funny, I answer it with my mic on, and soon realize it's a mom of one of the students. She was calling to tell me that her son was still in the bathroom at the bowling alley at this time of night, and we had forgotten him. It was like 2:30 a.m. I quickly got off stage and sent one of my leaders to drive 15 minutes back to the bowling alley immediately and pick him up. Worst part is he was a visitor and we haven't seen him since. But in my defense, his own brother was there, but never thought to say, hey, my brother is not on the bus yet. Yep, pretty big fail on my part. I always count 6 times before we leave places now.
Wow. Take that one, guys. Here's a moral of the story. This one, and I think a couple of the other ones, you got to count.
Yeah.
If you're going to youth ministry, you can learn theology 1, 2, 3. You can have your dispensationalism. It can be great, but darn it, if you can't count, you better not be a youth pastor.
Yes.
You got to.
Probably not the best calling.
Let's put math 1 into our
or even just
classes.
Kindergarten.
Literally.
Adam said, I will tell you about the day that I thought I was fired. He said, when I was first starting in youth ministry, I wanted to use secular music as a barrier breaker for students to connect to what we are doing.
Nope.
So we had an outreach night, and I called it Jenga, that we would lead a couple of these songs. So I led with a Green Day song called Boulevard with Broken Dreams. As I prepared to lead the song, the words that my tech guy entered flooded onto the screens. Needless to say, I had no idea that an F-bomb was present in the song. Now I know. And by the grace of God, we have never led Green Day songs again.
Hallelujah.
And I'm somehow still employed at the church.
Yeah, the grace. Yeah, he's got a lot of grace.
I want to know why the tech guy actually typed it out.
No, dude, he's just like, yeah, man, whatever.
He just did asterisks, like the F and then 3 asterisks or something.
Yeah.
And all the kids are like, oh.
No way. Yeah, you start with secular music. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
Here's a hot tip. Lecrae, all right? Just play it. Just go with it, all right?
Jeffrey said, once on a mission trip out of the country to Mexico, I had a student tell me at the airport as we were checking in, getting ready to leave for our trip, that he didn't have his identification papers with him. So passport, birth certificate. Now, I assumed he meant they were in his luggage, and I assured him they just needed a driver's license to get on the plane. 10 days later, as we are 30 yards from the U.S. border, coming back home, and I told everyone to get their ID for the border guard. At this point, the same student reminds me that he has no ID for the border crossing.
Oh my gosh.
And it hits me. It's not in his luggage. He didn't bring his ID at all. Nothing. Nada. Wow. He said just his license, which is not proof of citizenship. We prayed and sweated for 20 minutes until we reached the border. He said, I had visions of having to call this kid's parents to fly down and personally vouch for him. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, In this one instance, the border guard just asked for verbal confirmation and let us all in.
Wow.
Never been so relieved.
Come on.
Yeah, from that day forward, never assume anything.
That's the power of prayer. Come on now. That's not a fail. That's powerful. That's good. I like that. A little prayer.
A little fail in the beginning, but we'll just we'll pass over that.
That's good. They made it. Come on now. That's good.
I don't know how, but he did.
I know how. His name is Jesus. Hallelujah. Come on.
Ryan says, I was nagged to have a lock-in at our church. There seems to be a thread about lock-ins right now.
Guys.
I reluctantly gave in and planned and advertised our lock-in. We had about 35 students show up. My intern and I were hanging out upstairs watching a movie with some of the high schoolers, and about 3 hours later, I woke up. I looked over at my intern, who was also asleep. No. We had left 35 students alone and unattended at a very large church building.
Locked in.
Yeah, locked in. Well, apparently. Luckily, nothing was broken. However, a few of my high schoolers decided it would be a good idea to walk to the gas station to buy some Red Bulls at 3 a.m. Let's say I will never be having a lock-in again.
This man.
You know, I feel like the word lock-in is just like...
It's a trigger word. I'm already triggered.
Well, it's that, but I feel like it actually doesn't describe the evening because it doesn't sound like any of these kids are actually locked in the building.
That's true. Or if they lock it from the outside, yeah, I guess the doors.
I think it's the concept of the thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like these kids are actually locked in all these times.
This man fell asleep. Oh, gosh.
It's probably, what do you say? It was like 3 a.m. or something. Him and the intern are upstairs, fall asleep during the movie. 3 hours later.
Gosh. He's like, I'm now the teaching pastor. I'm now. He's like, I can't. Staying up late. I'm not doing it.
All right, man. I have one more story. This was from Juan. He said, during graduation time this year, I went to the Christian bookstore and bought a blue Bible and had it engraved for a senior boy in my youth group.
Nice.
Although I am a little colorblind, it's purple, and I didn't realize it has flowers on it.
No.
So he handed the kid.
He said, I'm a little colorblind.
No, dude, you're full-blown colorblind.
A little, man. You just got a purple Bible. I thought it was blue.
Hands it to the kid.
No way.
Yeah, for graduation. So this reminds me of one last thing. My brother, at our church, he was the, I don't even know his title, like media director or something for a little while. And he did like the edits of the videos. And he says he's not colorblind, but he calls it color deficient, which is the medical term for it, apparently. And he did an edit of your brother, actually, for Easter. And your Pastor Aaron is the children's pastor, of like holding like Easter eggs for the kids or something. And it was outside. And dude, this thing had a dark green hue. Your brother looked so green. It was like he was sick. And you could tell in the video it was just so poorly edited or something. And literally, like, everyone in the church roasted him for so long. Like, the video is still out there floating around. Everything else is, like, color balanced well. And then it cuts to your brother. And it's just green. And then it cuts back. And he can't tell the difference. It was so funny. And they played it on a Sunday morning for everybody, too. No. So hundreds of people saw it on the big
screen. Kind of colorblind. No. On Easter, too?
I don't know if it was Easter or right before it.
Gosh,
yeah,
like one of the biggest Sundays. He's just like, it's a little bit.
Yeah, color deficient.
It wanted to look like the Hulk. I mean, come on, get the unsaved people.
That's actually that's a good description. That's pretty much what he looked like.
That's funny.
Well, awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Youth Group Chronicles. Pastor Tim, an awesome guest to have here. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
See everybody next week. Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching this episode of Youth Group Chronicles. If you have a story that you would like to share on this show, you can email us at ygchronicles@gmail.com. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified every time we drop a new episode. And then up here is a video that YouTube thinks that you're going to like. So definitely check that out, and thanks for watching the show.